Hey y'all, hope everybody's doing great. Thank you so much for watching my channel. It's getting that time of year again. It's almost Thanksgiving. We're about a week out. And it's going to be special, extra special for us this year because you may have seen in some of my previous videos that I've done. I mentioned us having a house built. It was completed this year. And so this will be our first Thanksgiving in our new house. So I'm super excited to have my family here and be able to cook for them in my house. And just smell the smells of Thanksgiving. You know how cozy and stuff it is. And what I'm going to do, what I do a lot of times, is I will start preparing things about a week in advance, depending on what it is, just to make it easier on myself when it gets closer to Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving Day. So what I'm doing today is I'm preparing my Thanksgiving gravy. We call it giblet gravy. But it doesn't have giblets in it because my family doesn't like giblets. So I just add chicken to mine. So what I'm going to do, what I started out doing this morning, is I cooked my chicken. I had 4 thighs and 4 legs. And I filled the pot up with water just right above the chicken, just till it could just cover the chicken. And to that, I added a tablespoon of crushed chicken bouillon, a 3 stalks of celery, and I just cut those in half, leaving the leafy part of the celery because there's a lot of flavor in there. And I also quartered up an onion and put that in there. Added a little bit of salt, not a lot because the crushed bouillon has salt in it. It's very salty. And some black pepper. So I just let all that cook together until the chicken was done and juicy and tender. Then once it was done, I discarded the celery and the onion and took my chicken out and just let the chicken cool. And once it was cool enough to handle, then I shredded it apart and took it off the bone. Now, I have too much chicken for the gravy, so I'll save that for something else. But once again, I don't use the giblets because my family doesn't like the giblets, but they like the giblet gravy part with the chicken. So let's get started and I'll show you how I make my gravy. All right, so I have my skillet getting hot here. And I wanted to mention, I can't remember if I told you or not, once I let my chicken broth cool, I put it in the refrigerator so it would congeal. I think I may have told you. And I just scraped the grease off the top of it. I'm sorry, I may have told you, but I just wanted to let you know for sure. So I'm not going to use all of this broth, like I said, because I want to save some when I make my dressing. So I do have some boxed chicken broth here. So I'm going to go ahead and add, I don't know, we'll see. There's still some, I left the little chunks of chicken in there from where I drained it. This is really rich broth. It's going to be so good. I make a lot of this gravy because my family would not let me get away with not making a lot because they like it, like they like a lot of the other leftovers from Thanksgiving. They also like a lot of gravy because everybody puts it on their mashed potatoes, their dressing, whatever we're having. My nephew absolutely loves this stuff. He's like, "You are going to make your giblet gravy, right?" I was like, "I sure am." So I've got, I don't know, probably about 2 good cuts in there. And I'm going to add this broth and just see how much we have. This skillet will be pretty full. It's not going to be all the way full because I don't want it to slosh, but I don't add any water to this because I want it to be just really chickeny. So it is just my broth I made and this. So I'm actually using this whole carton. And I'm going to add about, let's see if I can get another half a cup. Because what I'll do, yeah, that should be enough gravy. Because, well, maybe another half. This is so good, I'm not even sure. What I'll do with the rest of this stock is freeze it. I'll put it in a smaller container and just freeze it. And then I'll set it out, you know, a day or 2 before I make my dressing. And then I'll use it too. And I'll be using some more box stock in it as well. So I've got my skillet heating, and I just added all my broth. And like I said, to this, I don't add any giblets, so I add my chicken. So this is the chicken that I shredded from the bone. I like dark meat chicken in my gravy and a lot of times in my dressing. The broth just seems to be richer when you boil it, but it just all depends on what I have on hand. Sometimes I do breast, sometimes I do a combination of breast and thighs and legs. It just all depends what I have. You know, either one's perfectly fine. And if you want to make this gravy, you don't have to make your own broth. I just enjoy it because it's good. It's just got a deep, rich flavor. But you can absolutely just use, and I have before, just use all chicken broth. So I have pulled the chicken to where it's shredded. I don't like really big pieces in it, just like shredded pieces. Because you just want it, you know, wafting through there ever so slightly. You don't really want big chunks. I will add quite a bit, but not much. I won't use all of this. So there's a piece I don't want because it's got too much fat on it. So I just try to make sure that it's all chicken. And with the leftover chicken, I may make barbecue chicken. I may freeze it for something else. I'm not exactly sure yet. And what I'm going to do with this, actually, is when I get done, is I'm going to freeze it. I'll put it in a container and let it freeze. And then probably about, I'll probably set it in the refrigerator Tuesday night, maybe Wednesday morning. By the time I go to use it Thursday, all I have to do is just put it back in a pot or skillet and warm it through. It'll be done, and then I don't have to worry about that when I'm preparing everything else. So this is one thing that you can make ahead. No one will ever know that it's been frozen because it's not really going to be in the freezer that long anyway. So I'm going to add about that much, and then I'm going to add my eggs. So what I did is I boiled some eggs. Right now, I think I have 4 that I chopped up. I diced up to go in there. I may only use about 3. I'm just gonna eyeball it. This is something you can use however many eggs you want, obviously. But I just chopped them up. Some boiled eggs, real fine. And the way I boil my eggs is I let them come to a boil. Sometimes I take them off the eye when they have come to boil and just let them set for 15-20 minutes. And the peel comes right off once they cool off a little bit. This time I think I let them boil for like 5 minutes because I was busy doing something else. But anyway, they turned out perfectly. So once they sit for about 15 or 20 minutes, I'll drain that water, add some cold water, and then just break them up and roll them around a little bit just to crack it. And then I'll peel it. And the peel comes right off. So let's go ahead and add our boiled eggs. This smells so good, y'all. I'm so excited about Thanksgiving. My house already smells like Thanksgiving, and I'm just making the gravy. Ain't that exciting? All right, it's the little things in life, y'all. It truly is. All right, so let's go ahead and add the eggs. I'll just tell you by tablespoons. I've got there's 2, 3, and when you're doing this, everything's going to settle to the bottom. So you just kind of keep it stirred, and that way you can kind of tell how much is in there. And I always have leftover eggs from cooking, boiled eggs. So Thursday, when I get it out to warm it through, if I feel like it needs more boiled eggs or chicken, I always have that left over too. I can just throw it in there. So not a big deal. There's just something about these mixtures, these flavors. All right, so let's go about to 6. I didn't really count it, sorry. So I have some egg left over, which is perfectly fine. Eat that for breakfast or something. My broth I made is a little salty. The box broth is salty, but I am going to add just a little bit more salt. Not a whole lot, maybe a 1/2 teaspoon. And I am going to add some black gravy. Obviously, my family loves black gravy. Black pepper. My family loves black pepper, so I'm going to add some to it. Stir that around. It looks so good. Not sure if you can see that or not. So this is getting good and warm. And right now I've got my heat on medium high. I'm going to cut it up a little bit. I have this mixture to add. I've got a quarter cup of flour in here, self-rising. You can use both, either plain or all-purpose or self-rising. And I've got 3/4 of a cup of water. This will thicken it as it cooks. But I'm going to let it cook just a little bit before I add that to it. I can just imagine this poured over dressing. It's going to be good. And obviously, I'm going to let this cool before I put it in the freezer. I'll let it cool, come to room temperature, and then I will put it in a container and then put it in the freezer. I hope everybody's looking forward to Thanksgiving this year. I have so much to be thankful for this year. So much. You may have seen a video I posted while I was in the hospital earlier last month, and at the end of September, first part of October. And anyway, without going into all that, I'm just very thankful to be here, to be able to spend time with my husband, my family for Thanksgiving. And I am truly, truly blessed, and I am so thankful. And I hope all of you get to spend Thanksgiving with your family as well. So this is getting hot. So I am going to add, I don't know if I'm going to add all this mixture. You want to make sure you get to the bottom so you can get all of that flour. So I know that's not much left, but I just kind of want to stir this around and just see. It kind of looks milky. It changes the color a little bit. You can see that. We don't want this to be real thick like breakfast gravy. We want it to be pourable, but we don't want it to be real thin either, like the broth is. We want it to thicken some. And if you do decide to pre-make this and freeze it, and once you thaw it, it's still going to have a little bit more, I guess, juiciness to it. But you can always, if it's not thick enough, the day that you warm it through, you can always add the flour and water mixture to it to make it thicker. If you see that it's going to be too thick, just add you some more chicken broth to it. Thin it back out a little bit. This is a no-fail gravy. I mean, this is the way my mama made it. Now, mama would make it with giblets and chicken. Sometimes she would make it with just the giblets, but then we all decided we could do without the giblets. So she started making it with just the chicken. And another reason this is going to be a bittersweet Thanksgiving, I'm not thinking. For us, I lost my mom over 3 years ago, and we've always had Thanksgiving at her and Dad's house. And even after she passed, we still continued to have Thanksgiving at their house. So this year, I asked my family if it was okay to have it here because it is my first Thanksgiving in our house, and they're okay with that. So it'll be bittersweet to be having it here instead of, at my parents' house, but it's going to be wonderful, and my family, they're looking forward to it. And my dad, was kind of struggling with it, but I think he's looking forward to it as well because he's not used to not having it at their house. So, but either way, my mom would be happy. Because we talked about it for years when she was still alive. When I was living east of Atlanta, looking forward to me coming home and moving back home and being able to do Thanksgiving at my house. And she was so excited and couldn't wait. So that's another reason why it's bittersweet, because I've already been, of course, I think about her every day. But just doing this and prepping, and even my grocery list for the Thanksgiving meal, I've been thinking about her because she and I would always, do the list together and decide what each other was going to cook. And most of the time I cooked at her house instead of having to bring my food from Atlanta. So, but anyway, it was just a wonderful, wonderful time with her in the kitchen. You see, this is still kind of juicy. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this. And once again, if you think it gets too thick when you go to warm it up, then you can just add some more chicken broth to it. And I'm not going to cook it all the way to the consistency I want right now that I want to pour the gravy. Just because I'll be cooking it when I warm it through for Thanksgiving, it'll thicken some more since I've already put the thickening mixture in there. All right, so I'm going to let this cook a little bit and I'll be back. All right, so you can see it's thickening up some. Looks so pretty. It's not as thick, quite as thick as I want it, but that's okay. Because once this comes to room temperature, then I'll freeze it. And then if I need to, I can just add some more flour mixture to it. It smells so good in here. You see the little bits of eggs and chicken. I didn't put a whole lot of chicken in it because I'll have chicken in my dressing as well. Plus we'll have ham and turkey, so just enough to flavor it. Alright, so I've turned the heat off of my gravy, and I'm just going to let it sit there and come to room temperature, and then I'll put it in a container and freeze it. I'm so excited. It may sound silly, but I love being in my kitchen. It's my happy place, and starting Thanksgiving dinner makes me even happier. It smells good. I may have to try a little bit. It's a little bit too hot to try now, but I know it's good because I've made it before. So I hope you guys are looking forward to Thanksgiving and are happy in your kitchen when you cook for your family. And I want to thank you again for watching my channel. If you will, like and subscribe and even comment and let me know how you make your giblet gravy. I'm curious to know. But thank you again. I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.